Breaking news. We are discussing judgments because judgment is coming. In the Bible, judgment primarily refers to God's evaluation of human actions, his administration of justice, and his divine decrees. It functions both as a warning against sin and an assurance that ultimate righteousness will prevail. The Bible frequently portrays judgment as God actively intervening in human history to correct wrongdoing, defend the oppressed, and punish rebellion. So these are some judgments often seen in the Old Testament and New Testament as God allowing consequences for national or individual disobedience. There will be a time of divine reckoning where every individual must give an account for their actions, words, and deeds. May we consistently examine ourselves to ensure we have the right heart posture. So, according to 1 Corinthians 4:5, therefore judge nothing before the time until the Lord come, who both will bring to light the hidden things of darkness and will make manifest the counsels of the hearts. And then shall every man have praise of God. So, the first judgment I want to discuss is judgment of believers as to sin, which was accomplished on the cross. So, that the concept was that all sins of believers, past, present, and future, were judged at Calvary. Believers, because those are people who have accepted Jesus Christ's atonement, what he's done. They acknowledged that they were sinners and they accepted his sacrifice on the cross. And there are people who reject it, but there are those who have accepted it, and those are the believers that's being referenced. So because Jesus took the punishment, believers do not face condemnation for their sins, so which secures complete justification. So we can look at scriptures Romans 3:23, Romans 6:23, 2 Corinthians 5:17, and 1 John 1:9. And then we have judgment as to self. Um, this is when we examine ourselves. Believers are expected to examine and judge their own conduct on an ongoing basis. So if Christians judge and correct their own wrongdoing, they avoid divine chastisement or discipline. And also, I want to add that when God chastises us, that means He loves us. So the word says that the Lord chastens those whom He loves. So those that are turned over to a reprobated mind are those who refuse to obey God, who continue to do everything that they want to do, and so God turns them over to their own devices. So when we look at ourselves and we examine our behavior, our decisions, our conduct, we should do that on an ongoing basis. So if we judge and correct our own wrongdoing, we avoid divine chastisement. Unchecked behavior leads to the Lord's correction, so that the believer is not ultimately condemned with the world, but God will reveal to you your shortcomings. And most of the time, we know because you get that conviction inside, and you know you're doing something that you shouldn't be doing. And so certain scriptures are 1 Corinthians 11:31-32, James 4:17, which says, therefore, to him that knoweth to do good and doeth not, to him it is a sin. And so that ongoing self-judgment is not meant to be in a state of continuous paralyzing guilt. Rather, it is a tool for spiritual maturity, correction, and accountability. So by actively recognizing and repenting of our own faults, believers correct their paths